We welcome everyone into another edition of Back Your Play with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quiñones. We are powered by our wonderful friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, BYP20. That'll get you savings 20% off your first purchase. And of course, coming to you live and in living color on Sports 48, WWON-TV in New York every Saturday, Sunday, 11 to 12. And our guy getting ready for the holidays. Hopefully he doesn't fall asleep on the sofa. I don't even know, what is that called? Tryptophan or whatever the hell it is when it comes to turkey. Our guy, Lloyd Vance, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football, does a fantastic job covering the NFL every Monday night, 8 to 9, SR 1029 FM The Game. Definitely give him a follow on social media at Lloyd Vance, and he joins me every week during the NFL season as we break down the betting lines. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
Doing great, Q. It's that time of year, man. We're finding out who the contenders are and the pretenders, and yeah, it's almost turkey time. But there's nothing like Thanksgiving and football and exciting times around the league.
And now, typically, as we said, the audience knows a lot of times we try to capture that Thursday night game. Sometimes we bypass it and go a little heavy when we do the show. And then we re-air it, as I mentioned, Saturdays and Sundays, and of course on multiple platforms, on X, on Facebook, my YouTube channel at rquinonesmedia. So because it is technically our Football Friday, Thursday night football has come and gone. But I'll tell you, that's a very impressive win for the Houston Texans at home against the Buffalo Bills. And I know we talked a lot about the Rams defense, Seattle's defense, the Eagles defense to some extent, Dallas's defense coming on. Do you look at this Texans team right now, courtesy of that 23-19 win, and say, okay, they're starting to hit their stride a little bit, and if they get in, they're going to be scary because of that defense?
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans has really gotten a group there, Q. And they're dominant up front. You have Danielle Hunter and you have Will Anderson Jr. 8 sacks in this game. They Josh Allen was not. He was harassed the whole time. He was not comfortable at all in the pocket, and it showed the deficiencies of the Bills that they could not drive the football down the field to kind of scare the Houston Texans attacking defense. And yeah, this defensive unit is scary because you have playmakers at every level. And linebacker, you have Al Shazier, you have Stingley Jr. and its defensive secondary, and they're doing a very nice job. Yes, they're 5-5 inconsistent team, but the big thing is they may be playing better with Davis Mills at quarterback, more efficient there right now than C.J. Stroud.
That was the next question I was going to ask you. By the way, they sacked Josh Allen 8 times. And Allen, they still convert that 4th and 27, have an opportunity to win the game. We talk about this MVP race, and I know the odds fluctuate. He jumps everyone last week with 6 total touchdowns, and then he has 2 picks last night. Go figure, right? But they are definitely going to be a scary number. Obviously, if you took them in the points, took them in the money line, congrats, you did well. All right, let's dive into these 1 o'clock games to start things off. Opening drive of this edition of Back Your Play with Q. And we always like to remind everyone the show itself is for entertainment purposes only. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so you got Pittsburgh and you have Chicago. The Steelers on the road. They are getting 2.5 to hook 3. I know how you feel about home teams, 2.5. I know how you feel about road teams, 2.5. My sense is even if Aaron Rodgers is banged up, I have a feeling you might take Pittsburgh in this one. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm riding with the Bears. I know they're not a juggernaut. I like what I've seen from Caleb Williams. I think they can get to the quarterback, even if Aaron Rodgers is iffy. I'll take my chances. If the Bears want to be considered that serious, legit contender out of their NFC North, then you get a win at home. And by the way, they're a pretty good home team. They're 3-1. So I'll take the Bears laying that number.
Yeah, not so fast, man. I'm riding with you, Q.
Interesting.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, I always talk about their consistency, and Mike Tomlin's going to find a way, but this team is very banged up, and Aaron Rodgers is probably not going to play with that hand/wrist injury. They have injuries at the running back position, and their defense just has not been their calling card like they've normally been in the past. So Chicago's gotten that offensive line together. With Tooney, he's come in there and solidified it. The blocking's a lot better, and Caleb Williams, got to tip your cap to him. He's playing very well, Q. I think the Bears win this one, and they cover the number.
So a couple things. They're Pittsburgh is lacking depth right now with a couple injuries with some of these wide receivers. Their left tackle, or left guard, I should say, Isaac Samalo is questionable. Williams, one of the wide receivers, is questionable. Rogers questionable, and also Warren, the running back, is
Right.
questionable. So with all that, if Mason Rudolph gets a start, we haven't seen a substantial amount of line movement, even though Rogers was limited in practice in his return to practice. You know me, I think the Steelers are a fraud, and we'll agree. We'll agree on this one. I like the Bears at home. Too many injuries right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, if the Bears want to be considered a legit squad, then you take care of business. The Pats, the hottest team in the NFL. Yes, the Patriots, 9-2, 5-0 on the road, laying a solid 6 as a road favorite against Cincinnati. That for some inexplicable reason, Joe Burrow might play, he might not play. He wants to play. Does Cincinnati have to kind of save him from himself? Obviously, you've got the situation with Flacco, right shoulder, limited practice on Thursday. My belief is this: I don't believe. Look, Joe Burrow was a full participant earlier in the week. Well, I should say Thursday. By the time we come on the air, I just it's a lost season. He's an injury-prone quarterback. If I'm Cincinnati, I'm shutting him down. I'm sorry, you're not going to toy and tinker with the franchise quarterback. But I do like New England, regardless, in this spot, laying the 6. I think they're that good of a football team, and you can tell me they really haven't played anyone. I get it, I understand, but at the end of the day, Cincinnati's banged up.
Yes, and you're talking about a Patriots team that's extremely hot right now, too. 8 straight wins for them. Drake May leads the NFL in terms of passing yards, and he's up there in TDs. So this team is becoming Vrabel's image. They're tough. They're they don't get flummoxed, and they fight to the end. So I think the Patriots will probably win this game. Cincinnati, I am hearing that Joe Burrow really wants to play in this game, but Q, I kind of agree with you. Why put him out there in terms of health? Because that offensive line is not one of the best in the NFL. You're not going to have Jamar Chase because of suspension for his spitting incident in this one. And there's just not a lot of help for him out there. So we'll see. They do play the Ravens on Thanksgiving, so they may be waiting for that. But I do go with the Patriots in this one.
Which pretty much makes my point even more valid. It's a short week. So I don't see it. I don't get it, but it's their decision. They got to reel in the franchise quarterback. Pat's playing some really good football and got that huge break Thursday night with the Bills losing. So again, a little more separation in the AFC East. The Giants taking on the Lions. Big number. Lions laying 10. Their offense couldn't really muster and generate any type of points or sustained drive against the Philadelphia Eagles with that loss. But we know the Giants are a bad team. The Giants have not yet won on the road, and kind of put it in perspective. Okay. They didn't cover the number to start the season against the Commanders. They did cover the number against the Cowboys. They actually were a slight favorite on the road against the Saints. They lost that game. They lost that game on the road against Denver, but they covered. And then again, last week against the Bears, they were getting 7.5. They're kind of a mixed bag. Now you kind of got a pissed off Detroit team. And this Giant team has had all these issues all week with Carter, jettisoning different wide receivers. Lawrence hasn't been consistent. Leaks coming out of the locker room. Did a guy fall asleep during the meetings or a walkthrough? He didn't show up. It's just a mess. It's a horrible spot. This is a perfect get right game for Detroit. 25 points is going to win this game for the Detroit Lions. So I have no problem laying the 10 here.
Yes, and you're talking about a Lions team that's been inconsistent. They're coming off a bad loss, and they're back in Detroit. It's a dome game, and I expect Jared Goff to get the football out of his hands. Penei Sewell will probably be more healthy this week than he was versus the Eagles. Amon-Ra St. Brown uncharacteristically had a bad game against the Eagles. He'll probably have a big game, and this one probably 10 targets or so. And then you talk about the Giants side. I think it's going to be Jameis Winston playing in this game, and there's just a lot of question marks around the Giants. Yes, Mike Kafka is trying to come in there as the interim head coach and make some things happen, but I expect this to be a Lions game. Maybe Dan Campbell will learn not to be overly aggressive, but we'll see Q in this one, and I expect them to put up a lot of points, probably a 40 burger.
So a couple things. I still, Jackson Dart obviously in concussion protocol, non-contact participant, and typically late in the week when that happens, that tells me probably not going to travel, probably not going to be available. I just, again, I don't see why you want to rush the kid back. You already got rid of the head coach, period, right? You've got the Pats coming up on the road. You got the Commanders, the Vikings. So again, kind of like the Burrow thing, I don't think they should rush. But I don't know if you know this nugget here. This is pretty interesting. So Detroit is 6-4. They've got the Giants, dome. Green Bay, dome. Cowboys, dome. At the Rams, dome. Steelers at home, dome. At Minnesota, dome. And then they've got the Bears. Like, think about that for a minute. Like, they should have an opportunity to put up a lot of points because they're really not going to be affected weather-wise.
Yes, I agree with you. And you know the lines. They want that fast track and they want to get Jameer Gibbs going on the outside with all that speed. And it was tough in Philadelphia. You know, it was cold. It was
Sure.
a little windy out there. And let's face it, even though they're in a cold weather state, you know, they're a dome team. So
Right.
yeah, I do expect all these indoor games to help the Lions, but they got to find that consistency, Q. And they're still very injured on their defense as well.
Vikings, they are on the road. They travel to Green Bay, take on the Packers. Packers got that much needed win against the Giants. They pulled away late. Green Bay's laying six, totals 41.5. Again, we talk about some of these young quarterbacks or aggressions or progressions. I am not a fan at all of JJ McCarthy. It's just, I'm just not feeling it with this kid. I'm not. And I understand he's young. He's only had a handful of games. The offensive line does not protect him. I think Green Bay's going to have an opportunity to get to him. I think Micah Parsons might have his breakout game this weekend. And Green Bay, quite frankly, they're the better team. I know they've been so hit or miss and so inconsistent. I'm going to take Green Bay, but I'm going to say this. Green Bay wins the game, but Minnesota covers.
It's going to be interesting, Q. It's all about McCarthy or number 9, as he likes to go by his alter ego. You know, hopefully he'll play better no matter which guy shows up, Q, because he's just been so inconsistent. I know he's only had 5 starts in the National Football League, but he's not driving down the field with any effectiveness. You saw Justin Jefferson get extremely upset with him last week. And we'll see how they do in terms of Flores and Van Ginkel in that defense. But I expect Green Bay to win this one, but they got to find some consistency as well. Jordan Love has not thrown the football effectively, and that defense teams have moved the ball on him, even though they have Micah Parsons and Gary and all those big names over there. So big game for them at home, divisional game. I expect Green Bay to win this one, probably by a field goal, though.
Is LaFleur, Matt LaFleur, fighting for his job?
Yeah, that's interesting because I was looking at an article earlier in the week and they were kind of hitting around that. But Q, I just can't see Green Bay doing that. I know they have a new chairman of the board in Ed Policy, and he's running a new situation. He may want to switch some things up. But when you look at LaFleur's track record, all those 13-win seasons, I know with Rodgers he made it to 2 NFC championship games. But with Jordan Love, you're starting to wonder, did he pick the right person? And is he a guy that could get him fired because he's just so inconsistent, and they have one playoff win since Rodgers left.
Yeah, I think he's a good head coach. I think a lot of it has to do with scheme, and again, just the inability to execute, and ultimately that does fall on the head coach. Seattle, one of the largest numbers of the weekend, along with Jets Ravens, 13 and a half. I've seen it as high as 14 and a half, probably sits right around 14 on the road against the Titans. Seattle, Darnold's my guy. He came out and said, I got to, relax with these turnovers. I mean, you're talking about a team, Darnold, I think Darnold is a good quarterback. And I think last weekend was an aberration. I know people are waiting for the other shoe to drop with Sam Darnold. But again, you cannot, under any circumstances, have a game like that if you're Sam Darnold. And that you can't turn the ball over like he did. It's unacceptable. He knows it. In a game that they still had a possession late, and then you've got an opportunity for a long field goal against the Rams that was not even remotely close. They could have won it 22-21. But I think you're going to get a better Sam Darnold off of that 4-pick performance against the Rams, against a very bad Titans team. This is kind of a goofy number, to be quite honest with you. Seattle's going to win the game. They just need to play a clean game of football. I'm not touching this game, though, because the Titans, they're kind of hit or miss when it comes to being feisty, and I can see them with a backdoor cover here.
Well, Q, this is an interesting game because you have the Seahawks coming off that divisional game against the
Right.
Rams where it was for all the marbles and they came up a little bit short. And Darnold obviously is going to take it on himself. 4 interceptions is tough, and he's got to clean that up. But you're talking about a Tennessee team that, even though they're scrappy, they're just not very good at 1-9. And defensively, Simmons is really their only playmaker. So I expect, though, to Seattle to get right in this game. See a lot of Kenneth Walker. He stepped forward last week, had some over 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. And then JSN, who's playing better than any receiver in football right now. They're going to probably get the ball to them. And the Seahawks defense, a lot of people don't talk about Ernest Jones and those guys on that side of the ball, but the Seahawks defense has a lot of teeth. Expect them to beat up Tennessee Titans pretty bad here, cover the number, and maybe hit that over, which is 40.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up their defense because Sunday's prop bet for Ward is 189.5 passing yards, 5.9 fewer than his 195.4 average for the season. I think you're playing the under on that one. And also, listen, he's due for another pick, right? 6 of 10 games this year, he's thrown an interception, but never more than one interception. I like Seattle's defense. Where are you at with Cam Ward? Is this just a situation where it's just not a good roster? You fire the head coach. A rookie loses his head coach 4 or 5 games in a season. I mean, do you believe that? I feel as though, and I mentioned this during the week on Q, that we're not even talking about him. We're talking more about a 4th, 5th round draft pick in Shedeur Sanders than the top overall pick in the draft in Cam Ward. Is it because the Titans are so bad and they're just an afterthought? I mean, typically you would watch to see how young quarterbacks play.
Yeah, Stu, and he's going to a small market, so he's in Nashville, and it's not New York, which is good for him. And it's a learning experience for him. He played extremely well in Miami, and I think he's a leadership type of guy. You hear him talk, and he's not negative, and he understands this is a growing season. It's much like Troy Aikman when he came in with the Dallas Cowboys. They were just a mess, and it took like 2 to 3 years and a new regime to kind of really clean things up there. So I expect the same thing with Tennessee. Mike McCoy's there as the interim head coach, but they're going to probably bring in an offensive-minded coach in the offseason to work with Cam Ward, and I think it'll be a good thing for him, and maybe they'll bring in a quality receiver to help him too.
Yeah, those 1-15 Cowboys teams, right? And then they obviously got all those that great draft capital and went on to win 3 Super Bowls. Colts on the road against the Chiefs. I told you this: Chiefs are done. They're cooked. Everyone can think it's a spite pick. They can think I'm a reverse mush, but I'm telling you right now, they might be on the outside looking in, getting 3.5. Obviously, the betting public still believes in Kansas City, and I think they're a little down on Indianapolis. You can make the case, all right, who is the Indianapolis Colts? Who have they really beaten? That was kind of an game against the Falcons. And also, too, our guy, Daniel Jones, right? Limited practice Thursday, calf injury. He should be good to go. But, man, I said last week, Denver can deliver the knockout punch against Kansas City. Now, if they delivered the kidney shot, the Colts can pretty much put them down on the mat for good. Because if you are the Kansas City Chiefs and you lose this game, I believe they are going to have a tough road at 5-6 with the Cowboys, the Texans, the Chargers coming up, and still the Broncos to figuring out a way to get into the playoffs and be there for that final wild card spot, because I don't believe they're going to be able to chase the Chargers, and they're certainly not catching Denver.
Yeah, Q, it's crazy. I looked at this line a couple times. Like, KC's a 3.5 point favorite. It's just like, wow, this is a prove it game for them because it's do or die, loser leaves town type of match for the Chiefs, because you saw what happened with the Buffalo Bills. No one's afraid of these teams anymore.
No.
They were prohibitive favorites coming
Nope.
into the season, and you have a Chiefs team that's desperate. They cannot run the football with any effectiveness. Their offensive line, particularly Jawan Taylor, struggling. Defense looking a little older, and Patrick Mahomes is not driving the football down the field like he was in the past. So this is a tough assignment for him. You have the Colts coming in here. First and foremost, the Chiefs got to find a way to stop Jonathan Taylor.
Bingo.
And then if Taylor's going, though, that'll help Daniel Jones keep coming the pressure off him, have his throws about 25 or less, and then he can make some plays. And then their defense, we'll see how they do without DeForest Buckner, but they still have some teeth on that defense with Franklin and the rest of the guys. So I've been back and forth in this game. Everybody, Kevin on my show kept saying, "Oh, you're a Chiefs guy, Lloyd." I said, Mahomes and Reed will find a way. Well, we're going to see if they still have a rabbit to pull out of their hat, but this is their last stand, Q.
Well, interesting path to a win right here because Daniel Jones is going to face the NFL's 11th ranked pass defense. So the Chiefs give up right around $196. The Colts rank 25th in pass defense. They're giving up 235. So Patrick Mahomes, if he has time and he can sit in the pocket, he should be able to exploit that. They should be able to move the football. Here's the problem with Kansas City. They've been very hit or miss against the run. Remember, we talked about it a little earlier in the season. Okay, they're going to come in the season. They're going to have a really good run defense. It's kind of been hit or miss. And we're talking about a back in Taylor that can rip off yardage. I mean, it's almost like what Saquon, it really is. It's what Saquon Barkley did last year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Run them, then boom, pops off the big play. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. And he's got the ability to go for 40, 50, 60. I mean, you just pull up what he's been doing over the last several weeks, aside from, kind of an effort against Pittsburgh, and they held him in check. He only had 14 carries. He's rushed for 123, 94, 153. And then he had the big, obviously, career game against the Falcons in Spain for 244, or maybe Berlin, I'm sorry, for 244. But my point is, if Kansas City can't stop him, then they might get blown out at home. I mean, if it's working for the Indianapolis Colts, I would just keep grinding it out and feeding, and you keep that Kansas City offense on the sidelines.
Yes, it's a great matchup. You have Shane Steichen and that offense. They have a lot of weapons. Taylor gets it going, but then you have Warren at the tight end position. You have Pittman. You have Pierce coming along as their deep threat. So, yes, this game could get ugly quick for the Chiefs if they don't stop that offense. So, very interested to see if Andy Reid has that game plan. And also if the Colts, this is a prove-it game for them. They have that great record, but they're stepping up in class here.
All right, don't forget BYP powered by Fresh Roasted Coffee. 20% off your first purchase. Check the show notes. Oh, my goodness. We are just flying by. Crunch time now. Last 1 o'clock games, and we got to rip through these 4 o'clock games. Jets and the Ravens. Ravens laying 13.5. Fields is benched. Taylor's going to get the nod. This is all about Lamar, even if he's banged up, and it's all about Henry. Run the football. Jets might cover, but I like Baltimore to win this game.
Yeah, I like Baltimore in this game, but that is a big number at 13.5. We'll see if they're able to cover that. But the big thing is obviously that Ravens defense that's coming along. They've allowed 20 points or less into their 4-game winning streak. And I expect Lamar Jackson to play a lot better than he did last week in Minnesota. So they're more consistent. And let's face it, the Jets, they got rid of some of their good players at the trade deadline. And Tyrod Taylor at his age, I don't see him doing much. So I expect the Ravens to win this one. I'll say, if you're going to bet it, though, take the Jets in that big 13.5, 14 number.
All right, we got several 4 o'clock games. Let's skip over Jags, Cardinals, Falcons, Saints. Nothing there. Browns, Raiders. Shador Sanders gets a start. We got the Eagles, Cowboys, Bucs, and the Rams. Let's quickly go to Cleveland.
Yep.
They're getting 4 on the road. Sanders, he's going to get full Arsenal reps, if you will. And the Raiders are a bad football team.
Cuban back and forth on this one. Let's face it, the Raiders, the key to them is Max Crosby, and he's getting a lot of pressure. That Browns line is inconsistent. I almost didn't. Geno Smith with all his interceptions, though, and against a very good Browns defense, I think he's going to turn the football over. It's going to help Shador have some short fields. Junkins in the backfield to run the football, so I'll go with the Browns in this one. Sanders will be solid, not spectacular.
Eagles, Cowboys, 425 window. Brady and Burkhardt, Eagles laying 3.5. The addition of Phillips has really helped. The Cowboys have been, believe it or not, offensively a juggernaut at home, averaging right around 38. We know about the Eagles offense. We know about the feud with Hurts and A.J. Brown. And, hey, do you still have it? Do you not have it? What the hell's going on? Get them the football. This is a horrible spot for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't believe they're going to be able to keep pace with the Dallas Cowboys, whose defense has been much better. Here's the trip-up game. Give me the Cowboys laying 3.5. I'm sorry, the Cowboys getting 3.5 at home.
Yeah, beware the home dog, and it's been back and forth in this game. Q, you have Quentin Williams coming in there, Logan Wilson helping out that Dallas defense. They looked pretty good the other night on Monday Night Football against the Raiders, and then offensively, look, Dak Prescott is at home, and when he's in the Jerry world, he's very, comfortable back there and getting the football out of his hands. CD Lamb so explosive, George Pickens, even Ferguson, the tight end. So the Eagles could lose this one, but Sirianni's one of those coaches, Q. You're like, how did he do that? The Eagles have been finding ugly ways to win games. Maybe it'd be a special teams touchdown, a block kick, something like that. But I think the Eagles win this one in very close fashion. But that drama around the Eagles continues, and you expect it's going to blow up by the end of the season.
All right, 2-minute drill, 2 games to go. Bucs and Rams, Sunday Night Football. Rams, very good team, laying 7. Tampa Bay's but a little hit or miss. I love what Stafford is doing. Definitely MVP in my estimation. I'm just kind of going to sit back and enjoy this game because I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. So if you're going to say which direction you're going to go, you know what? Let's throw a little coin, a little shekels on this total over 49.5.
Yeah, this is a prove it type game, almost a playoff situation for both these teams. And yeah, Baker Mayfield going against a team he used to play against. But the Bucs are so beat up. You're wondering if Bucky Irvin is going to play in this one. The defense has several players out, but they'll still have Levante David, Winfield Jr. back there trying to make plays. But I do agree with you that Stafford's playing at that MVP type level, getting the ball out of his hands. And he has Devontae Williams and as well as Puka Nacua back there. So I expect the Rams to win this one. They got to have their kicking game right. That was their Achilles early in the season.
Commanders, Chargers, Dolphins, Broncos, all with byes, which leads us to cap things off. Monday Night Football, Panthers and the 49ers. 49ers, 7-point favorite at home. A banged-up team because they're not giving any love, any respect, any flowers to my Carolina Panthers, who figured out a way to get to that 6-win mark. Thank you very much. Listen, Bryce Young, over 400 yards, crazy win last weekend over the Falcons. And here's a good spot. You want to grow up? And I'll tell you something else. Good for Carolina being back on prime time.
It's going to be interesting, Q. They're a team 6-5. They're scrapping. They're trying to get in the playoffs. And you have Bryce Young coming off that big effort last week, career day. But he has an ankle injury, so that's something to monitor. They're going to try to get Dowdle going as well as Ted McMillan. He's their big playmaker guy. But I believe in the Niners at home. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's looking for 1,000 this season. The offensive line playing very well. Purdy's back. He's getting the ball to Kittle. Pearsall's going to play in this game as well as Jawan Jennings. So go with the Niners in a close win here. The Niners obviously are very beat up on defense, and Carolina may move the ball on.
Got about a minute as we wrap it up. Man, that just ripped through. Wow. Do you have a player prop or two that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, Q, there was a couple that I've looked at. You have Jahmyr Gibbs. The over-under rushing yards for him this week is 78.5 at -110. I really like Gibbs to go over that number. We talked about Detroit trying to get that bounce back after that Eagles game. They're going against a Giants defense that's kind of beat up, and he should be able to get outside and make some plays. Also, Puka Nacua for the Rams. We just talked about that Tampa Bay game for them. Nacua's over-under on receiving yards 85. Expect him to get 10 targets or more, and he'll hit that 85 fairly quickly against a Bucs secondary. It's kind of beat up. So there are two that I'm looking at.
All right, there you have it. As always, he's kind enough to join us, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football every Monday, 8 to 9. Check him out on SR 1029 FM The Game. Follow him on X at Lloyd Vance, and he always jumps on Q as well as Back Your Play. And he knows, even with the holidays around the corner, and a lot of turkey, and a lot of stuffing and cranberries, and a lot of football, and then Santa coming down that chimney, we know if you say it, you play it. And if you back it, Lloyd Vance,
you're going to stack it, Q.
You're going to stack it. That's how we close it out. Another weekend of games in the books. Unbelievable. Week 12 of the NFL is among us. As always, we appreciate you guys keeping us locked in and, of course, online on the YouTube channel, on X. And we always like to say thank you so much to our very good friends checking us out 11 to 12 Saturdays and Sundays on NY 48 WWON. Mr. Lloyd Vance, excellent job as always, my friend. Appreciate you tuning in and joining us as you always do. For Lloyd Vance, I'm Rich Quiñones. Everyone have a wonderful sports weekend. Enjoy all your slate of NFL games. You can check us out Monday on Q as well, 4 to 6 on the YouTube channel, and keep it locked in 11 to 12 every Saturday and Sunday, NY 48 WWON.